Hey everyone, welcome into Functional DIY. Sorry it's been a while since I made a video, but I've been building my new shop and I've been taking pictures and video, and so I wanted to document that. So here's my old shop. It's a 24 by 13 lean-to style structure attached to the house. My wife and I decided we didn't really want a non-permitted structure attached to the house for if the time ever comes and we want to sell it. So we're going to have an unpermitted structure out in the yard. So we have a pre-existing slab out in the yard where we had a shed built. I tore that shed down and I want to build the shop out um, on the slab, but the slab is only 25 by 9. So the 25 is going to be the distance from the front to the back of the shop, but then it's going to extend out over that grass, and it's going to be, we're going to have concrete pillars out dug down into the soil for the foundation of that side of the shop. So my contractor buddy suggested I use these 16 by 16 blocks because I didn't want the shop sitting directly on the slab because we get a lot of rain here in Hawaii. And no matter if you use pressure treated lumber or not, your lumber is going to be sitting in water, rainwater, for years and years and years. So inevitably it's going to rot. So I wanted it up off the ground. So I got these 16 by 16 blocks. I mortared them onto the slab, and then I drilled down through the block and into the slab, installed the anchor bolts with epoxy, and as you can see here, anchor bolts sticking out. The Simpson ties get attached to these bolts, and then 4x6 beams will sit down into those Simpson ties and get attached to those. So I went ahead and I was able to salvage some of a couple of the 4x6 beams from the old shop that I was able to use, and then I bought some from Home Depot, which I had to sell a couple organs of my body in order to pay for that. But you got to do what you got to do. So here I'm trying to make sure everything is level between the blocks, and then from there it's going to extend out into the yard, um, and sit on top of the concrete pillar that I pour. So that's what this is, and then another um, bolt gets sunk down into the concrete for the another Simpson tie to attach to, bolt onto. So in the next picture, you'll see I got started with the um, getting those beams in place, getting them squared up. That was a painstaking process trying to get it square, which I failed at, but I got it pretty close. I thought at the time, 2x6 floor joists, and then I put blocking, which you don't see, but I put blocking in between those floor joists as well. Meanwhile, I'm tearing down the old shop, trying to use as much of that material as I can, which I was able to use a lot of the 2x4 studs and that flooring, the OSB flooring, but I had to order a lot from Home Depot, which is this video of this gentleman delivering $1,500 worth of materials. Most of that is OSB. I'd say $1,100 worth is that OSB at the bottom. No, sorry, the T111 at the bottom. Um, so I was installing the OSB flooring here, getting it in place, and as you can see, I had some sun. Had some good days where we had a lot of sun, and I really wanted to get this flooring down and the roof on before the rains came, and because I didn't want that flooring to get ruined. So here's the wall going up. The back two walls were easy because there were no windows. It's just 2x4 stud, 16 inches on center. And here I have opening for two windows and my sliding glass door. And then the side wall is going to have my regular door and two more windows um, that I'm going to install here. And hopefully I'll put in maybe another dog door, but we'll see. Um, so these walls initially were 8 feet high, but I wanted 10-foot high walls. So as you can see, I added that kind of a sideways ladder at the top. So I have the double top plate plus another 2 feet, and then a double top plate on the top of that on the very top. So it actually looks kind of square in this picture, which is cool. I like this picture. Then came time to build the trusses, so I screwed down some blocks onto the floor so I could kind of have a template so that every truss was as close to identical as I could get. Some of the trusses I was able to use these metal plates, but I didn't have enough, so some of the other trusses I ended up having to connect with like half-inch plywood or half-inch OSB. But they all came out really sturdy, which I was really happy about. So they're 20-foot long trusses to span the shop is 20 by 23 roughly. So I really liked how the trusses came out. I ended up making 6 of them all together, and putting them up was a challenge by myself. So here they are upside down, and then I climb up the ladder and flip it up with a stick. And I have the braces in the back to make sure it doesn't fall off the other side. So I just did those one by one, attaching them at the top with a 2x6. And here, as you can see, where I used like OSB and stuff to attach it. But I figured nobody's going to see my trusses unless they go up into my attic, so I felt like I was pretty safe from shame. So it took me a couple weekends to get all the trusses up, I think. So the next step was to put the purlins on. So I used the 10-foot 2x4s to connect the 3 trusses on each side, but that left like a 53-inch gap between the middle 2 trusses. So that's where I just used an 8-foot 2x4. So that gave me about a foot of an overhang on each side, which was just about right. And the next step was to put the roofing panels on, which I was able to get at Home Depot, which saved me about $700 from buying them at HPM, which I had done previously in the past. But Home Depot only had green roofing panels, but that was okay. I used this board pictured here to line up the bottom of each panel with the previous panel, so that it looked even. So the bottom edge looked even, and it really came out really well. I really liked how it came out, which meant I did an okay job, I guess, with the trusses and squaring it up with the purlins and the trusses. And here's putting the ridge cap on. So all in all, I got the roof on. It came out pretty well and just in time, because shortly after this, it started raining more. And after I got the roof on, my next step was to put the house wrap on, which I really debated using, whether or not I was going to use that. But I figured I was going to try to do a better job than I did with my previous shop. So I opted for the house wrap, and I'm really glad I did because it started pouring, and this protected the inside of the shop, and it gave me time to put up the siding, the T111, so I didn't feel rushed to get that up. So I was able to get the 9-foot roll. So with the 10-foot walls, it went almost all the way to the top, and then I just I had to cut it down for the second layer so that it overlapped the first, and but it went all the way out to the top of the wall. So I didn't get any pictures of putting up the T111, but here's the siding. I was able to those green pieces were from the previous shop, so I was able to use some of those to save a little money, but most of it was all brand new T111. I did end up having to buy, I think, 3 or 4 more sheets, and at $50 some a sheet, it adds up quickly. So here's the front, which I have not cut those windows out yet because the actual windows are still in the previous shop. And the sliding glass door there is kind of wonky. I'm actually going to pull that out and redo it because it wasn't quite level and square when I put it in. I was just trying to get it in because the rains were coming. So that's pretty much it for this video. I was going to do another video for the inside of the shop, putting in the insulation and the ceiling and doing all of that. So appreciate anybody who watched, anybody that subscribed, anybody that hit the like button, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks again. Bye bye.